Pearl Mackie, you joined Doctor Who this season as Bill Potts, who is the Doctor's new companion. Had you been a fan of Doctor Who before this opportunity came around?
No, no, it wasn't really on when I was a kid, essentially. So yeah, I was kind of it came back when I was about 16. So yeah, I watched a bit of the first series. I liked it, but I didn't really watch much TV at all when I was about 16. I sort of, just more interested in hanging out and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I've enjoyed Christmas specials and stuff like that. But no, I think I've more kind of learned about the series since being in it, which is kind of a nice way to learn, I think, from the inside.
Yeah. And it fits because also, of course, your character Bill is learning everything as she goes along too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the Doctor's companion is kind of a major coveted role. Certainly this leading role in a TV series. What was that casting process like for you to come in and play Bill?
It was pretty cool. It was quite long. In terms of, well, the second audition was quite long. The first one was just sort of me reading to camera. Um, and yeah, the second one was I met with Brian Minchin and Stephen Moffat, read with Peter Capaldi in a hotel, which was kind of crazy actually. It was a really nice hotel, like really, really cool, like really nice. And I sort of rocked up in my like big afro and baggy t-shirt and yellow trainers and was like, whoa, this is nice. But yeah, it went really well. It was a great audition. It was very, very strange. Peter asked me at one point if I wanted to stand up. And I don't know if you've ever been to a TV casting before, but essentially you sit down as we're doing now. And just as if you're me, you try and just not move your face as much as possible. But yeah, Pete was like, "Do you want to stand up?" So I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll stand up." It was Peter Capaldi asked you to stand up. You don't say no. So yeah, I stood up, and we were doing the scene where Bill first goes into the TARDIS. So he's all sort of running around, pressing buttons everywhere because he's got it in his head. He knows exactly where things are supposed to be. And I was just sort of standing there with my mouth open, like, ah. But luckily, I mean, she kind of does that, and she's sort of supposed to be doing that in the scene anyway. So yeah, it was all good.
Was the character already pretty fully formed by the time you came on board, or have the writers been able to tailor the role to you, since you've been cast and kind of draw from some of what you bring to the character?
Um, I don't. It wasn't fully formed at all, really. I mean, Stephen obviously had a clear idea of what he was looking for Bill, but I think when I came to the first audition, there were only 3 scenes that had been written, and these were kind of just sort of standalone scenes. We ended up using one of them for the pilot, for the trailer for the pilot, and then one of them was the scene where she comes into the when she goes into the TARDIS for the first time, and one of them is the one that is the first scene in episode 1. So we sort of used a bit of that for that, and yeah. So I think they've kind of based a lot of it on what I've brought to it, which is really nice. I mean, as far as I was concerned, she was pretty fully formed because I read stuff and she was there really. She sort of jumped off the page for me. So I guess it's sort of the connection between what was written and what I brought to it is something that yeah, kind of created Bill really.
And the character is especially noteworthy. There's been a lot of talk about her being the first openly gay companion on the show. Did you know right away that was going to be the direction of the character, or
Um,
point was that developed?
um, I think I know. I think it was in the second round of auditions, or perhaps not even in the second round of auditions. That was obviously in the first scene she's talking about this girl that she really likes. In the first audition, I think it was talking about a guy, and Stephen was saying he was just like, oh, it's just not right. It's just not right. And he was like, it's a girl that she's in love with. And it was, yeah, I mean, I didn't, there was no discussion for me really. I was just like, great, this is cool. It's there'd been gay characters on Doctor Who before, so I didn't think it's been quite you know, people it's quite seems to be quite a big deal. Which is cool. You know, I think the representation is really important. I think it's, you know, it's definitely important for people in, you know, in areas that might not be as open-minded towards homosexuals. You know, I'm lucky enough to sort of I grew up in South London, which is very diverse, very multicultural, very, you know, there's diverse range of sexualities, and that's sort of, you know, my heritage and my background is very open-minded. But, you know, a lot of people aren't from backgrounds that are as open-minded. So, you know, if seeing Bill, who is, you know, very open and very comfortable with her sexuality on, you know, their favorite program for a young kid who's, you know, surrounded by people who aren't as open-minded, then, you know, I think that's a great thing to sort of make people potentially, you know, allow them to identify with her.
The Doctor and his companions always have a slightly different dynamic, you know, each time. Sometimes it's friendly or romantic a little bit, or sometimes more like a father figure. And this year, the Doctors seem to be sort of a mentor-teacher role to Bill. How was it with Peter Capaldi over, you know, especially over those first few episodes to develop that rapport between your characters?
I don't know. I think we worked it out in rehearsals, and we kind of, you know, both sort of liked it. The kind of, you know, sort of Educating Rita kind of vibe, but you know, for the modern day. It's yeah, because he starts off as her tutor. It's sort of, you know, we kind of fell into that quite naturally, and then, you know, they sort of carry that through, you know, their travels through time and space, which is, it's a really nice dynamic, I think. And, you know, there's sort of like a kind of fatherly protective element of the Doctor that we see when he's looking out for Bill as well, which I think is lovely.
And you know, this season we've gotten to, you know, some sense of Bill's life apart from the Doctor, but for the most part, it's the show so far this season, you know, what has aired so far has focused on, you know, a lot of the adventures of the week. Do we get to, you know, delve into more of her life as the season goes along?
Perhaps we will. Perhaps there are a lot more very exciting adventures to come, and Bill is definitely a very big part of those. So read into that what you will.
The Doctor has lived for so long too that his human companions also really ground him in a more human perspective that sometimes he really needs, and sometimes, you know, as a 2,000-year-old time traveling alien is hard to kind of figure out. What do you think Bill brings to the table that, you know, the Doctor maybe lacks or maybe needs?
I think you're right. I think she definitely helps to sort of ground him in reality, and sort of, you know, I think the thing about Bill is that she's very real. You know, she's a real person, and she approaches things from the background of humanity, and you know, the background of sort of, she's governed by her gut. You know, she doesn't have a wealth of experience to draw on when she's making decisions. You know, I think it's yeah, and I think in a way she brings that to him. She offers him a kind of sort of a reality, you know, a reality sort of within sort of the life of human beings, you know, which is, you know, obviously a very small part of the Doctor's existence. But yeah, I think that sort of, you know, an honesty, a kind of a freshness, and I think she allows him to sort of look at all of his world kind of afresh as well, as sort of, you know, through showing it to someone else. As, you know, if you show something to someone, you know, you're excited to show, it can often sort of regenerate that sort of love for it yourself.
I mean, it's not just the Doctor and Bill this season. There's also Nardo, played by Matt Lucas, who is helping the Doctor guard this vault underneath the university. Does it feel like a different dynamic when it's the three of you on an adventure or in a scene compared to just, you know, when it's Bill and the Doctor?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel a bit like a different dynamic. But, you know, I think it's great. It's nice to sort of, you know, the beginning part of the series sort of establishes Bill and the Doctor, and it establishes Nardo and the Doctor. But then, you know, the later on episodes, sort of episode 5 onwards, we kind of, you know, we see them all together and we see how they interact, which is great as well, because they both interact separately with the Doctor, but when you see, Bill and Nardo together, for example, in the last episode, Matt and I got a bit of, a couple of scenes together where we sort of interacted and figured out stuff about each other, which is great because I think that gives it, an element of freshness as well, and sort of allows the readers to discover new things about Bill and Nardo that they might not necessarily have needed to show to the Doctor because he already knew them. So I think it's nice. I think the dynamic between the three of them is great.
One of the benefits of Doctor Who, from a storytelling perspective, is really it has the ability to tell stories literally at any point in time and space. Past, future, Earth, or on a space station, or anywhere else. Has there been an adventure so far that you were especially fond of shooting?
Of shooting particularly, I really liked episode 3. For shooting. Some of the sets on episode 3 were so incredible and were so huge. The set for like Blackfriars Bridge, for example, was so overwhelming. When I first walked in, I was really like, this is amazing. It was so big. I was like, this is basically, I'm on Blackfriars Bridge. It was insane. So for that, the sort of, all the frost fair and the little stalls and all of that kind of stuff, I really, really enjoyed shooting it. And there's some quite emotional scenes for Bill and the Doctor in that episode as well, which I really liked. But I really enjoyed Oxygen as well. I really enjoyed watching Oxygen. For all the sort of space special effects and the space suits and all of that kind of stuff. I thought it was a great adventure. But yeah, I think I've enjoyed all of them for different reasons. I think different elements of different parts of them have been challenging, and different parts of them have been really fun. So I think a nice mix of that is kind of, it's all you can ask for, really.
And the show also does have variances of tone, as you mentioned. In Thin Ice there were some very emotional moments for Bill, and there have been over the course of the season so far. There's also a lot of humor. In addition to that, what is it like navigating those kind of different emotions from episode to episode as things change?
Oh, it's great. I think, I love that kind of the journey of, sort of going from quite raw emotion to, something quite funny, or vice versa, or, from going from quite seriously angry to something more lighthearted. I think it's lovely for me as an actress to be able to explore all of those emotions within one character, and the parameters of one program is incredible. I think it's such a gift. We get to sort of, there's so many things that we get to explore in Doctor Who. I feel really lucky.
And it seems like the experience of shooting, might be quite different from week to week. Whether it's a haunted house kind of story like Knock Knock was, or Oxygen, which was set on a space station. Is the production experience quite different from episode to episode? As you're in a locale?
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, essentially, they build us a whole new set for every episode. Or, for example, Knock Knock was shot in a really old house that was been there since the 13th century, I think, in Wales. So, so we kind of moved there for a couple of weeks. We were all staying in little kind of countryside hotels kind of near there. So that felt like, shooting a little film within itself, just being there for that episode and shooting a few bits of that around there. And then, episode 5, we're back in the studio and we're doing lots of stuff in this space station that's been built. And that set a minute ago was the Frost Fair for episode 3. So it always does feel really, really different with with all of the sets and all because each episode's got such a different feel. It's always got a really different energy to it, which I think is great. It keeps it really fresh, and it makes it really exciting.
Now, this is, you're coming on to this show for the first time this year, but this is going to be the actually the last season for Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and Stephen Moffat as well as the showrunner. Maybe you're not able to say, or maybe you don't know at this point, but do you know whether Bill might be continuing beyond the current season?
Well, we've still got a lot of this season to go. So, I think we need to just sort of watch this series and see where her journey takes her before I can answer any of those questions. But I think it's very exciting what's going on for Bill at the moment.
Speaking speculatively, it does seem like it would be kind of exciting that you're coming on new this season to the show, and everyone has been on board for a while. And you know, if Bill does continue next season, you know, whatever happens this year, you know, you'll be sort of introducing the new showrunner and the new doctor, and you'll kind of be the veteran on set.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of pressure, actually. Quite scary. I never thought about it like that.
These days, you know, a lot of people, you know, have looked at this character of the Doctor that's been running for so long, and are hoping for a change of pace, maybe to see the character played by a woman for the first time, or a person of color, or maybe both. What do you think about those possibilities, you know, of really seeing a drastically different next Doctor?
Well, I think the great thing about Doctor Who is that, you know, I think they get such fantastic actors to play the Doctor. So, you know, I think whoever they choose, you know, be it, you know, sort of slightly more ethnically diverse or a female Doctor, I'm sure whoever they choose will be absolutely fantastic for the job. So, you know, I'm going to leave that up to them.
And you mentioned that every episode comes with its own advantages and its own challenges. What's the biggest challenge that you faced so far in you know, for an episode or for a scene that was especially challenging?
I would say in what we've seen so far, episode 5 was quite hard for me personally, just because Bill has those two scenes, one where they're in the airlock and she's about to be exposed to the vacuum of space, which is quite emotional and quite physically challenging as well, because I was doing that, you know, the thing with the spacesuit and the arms and all of that kind of stuff. You know, that was me doing that and not having to, you know, having to keep my arms really still and do all this emotional acting as well. And then the other scene that we filmed, where Bill is, you know, she's calling out for her mum because she thinks she's about to die. You know, she's essentially about to be turned into mulch by her suit. We filmed both of those on the same day, so that was pretty, you know, pretty emotionally and physically challenging for me. So yeah, I would say that is one of the hardest days on set we have had. Also, the spacesuits that we were wearing were pretty heavy too, so doing all of that with like a little person on your back was it was pretty challenging. It was great though.
And those spacesuits, it's interesting because, you know, it's futuristic technology, but it doesn't really seem that far removed from where we are now, right now. It's like basically you're wearing kind of a homicidal Siri on your
I like that.
Well, I want to congratulate you again on the show this season, and on playing Bill this year, and thank you so much for talking with me today. I look forward to seeing much more of the show this season.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you too, Daniel.